Sly 3. Having platinum Sly 1 and 2 last year, this platinum has been long overdue. The great thing about Sly 3 is that it gets into the action right away, and after the opportunity to do some movement de-rusting in the prologue, I grab the first trophy of the run, even if it does fade to white. I do some more de-rusting in the hazard room, and then it's time for step 1 of the run for real, which is to complete the game normally. The first job actually leads to another trophy, as Sly breaks out his old foe Dimitri from underneath Carmelita's nose for the Intimate Moments trophy. As I continue to tick off jobs, I actually hit 500 coins for the Penny Pincher trophy, and will continue to hoard coins for more trophies unless I actually need to spend them. Day 1 of the first episode caps off with another Carmelita trophy, this one for protecting her from the Blue Viper Gondola gang. The idea of being on rails whilst needing to both shoot in small bursts and jump at the same time doesn't come naturally to me, but I do actually get this done on the second try, and the romantic boat ride trophy is mine. Day 2 is a little bit less exciting, the only trophy of the day coming courtesy of a job where Sly uses a disguise to sneak into coffee shops, which don't even house drugs, but instead just have blueprints. I get the Undercover Raccoon trophy for Sly wearing a disguise for my troubles. Operation Tar Be Gone was pretty simple. Bentley ran around and planted some bombs and destroyed some pumps, granting me the Bentley Plumbing trophy. Then, after another run and gun level, which I succeeded on doing on the second try again, it's time for the first real boss fight and the first Murray section. The most jarring part of this was the fact that Murray isn't guaranteed to finish his combo, which is similar to real life, but something that I failed to adjust to for a while. Unlike Octavio in the Tar though, I wasn't stuck for much longer, and employing some boxing style jab and move tactics, Octavio was down, and the beatdown trophy for defeating him was mine. I practiced the old rock to the head routine, and then head for the Rumble Down Under episode, where I almost immediately pick up the Coin Collector trophy for holding 1,000 coins. The first job of the episode sees Sly perform his way around the hub to meet the Guru, leading to me landing the Unleash the Guru trophy. I nearly fail some very basic platforming, and then it's time for another minigame involving running over scorpions so that I can catch a different type of scorpion so that I can eliminate some dingoes that may or may not have eaten my baby, and that lands me the Scorpion Cleaner trophy. The next significant job is a bar brawl, a lemonade button mashing contest that puts Chrono Trigger to shame, into an all-out brawl with all of the Cooper gang, into a mini boss fight that I honestly only lost health on because I wanted to do some experimenting towards the end. I got the last cool trophy for wrapping this one up. The last act of the second episode is to fulfill Sly and every furry's fantasy, and that's to climb up a large anthropomorphic vixen's clothes. And that wraps up the episode, and I get the It's Halloween trophy for my troubles. My reward for holding off on purchases and piling up coins finally comes in episode 3, as I get the first gold trophy of the run, Loot, for holding 2,500 coins at any one time. There's a bunch of different mechanics in the first part of this episode, from Murray's pathetic rowing to Bentley's security cams. But it's the act of yanking minions with Penelope's RC to far, far away, which lands me the I Think She Likes You trophy. With the coin hoarding out of the way, I can now actually concentrate on buying gadgets and power-ups needed for other trophies. I get the Raccoon Paraglider trophy for purchasing the Power Glider, the OMG A Flying Turtle trophy for purchasing the Hover Pack, and the Late Sleeper trophy for purchasing the Alarm Clock. I also start purchasing the Sly Jump Attack, Sly Spin Attack, and Shadow Power upgrades to work towards their respective trophies as well. Part 2 of episode 3 sees another Carmelita Fox mission, this time in a shootout against Mugshot. I was happy to stay on the ground and strafe left and right to bring him to justice, granting me the Digging Up a Bone trophy. Oh yeah, and the hacking minigames also make a comeback. Hooray! I love this minigame, said no one ever. Episode 3 rounds off against the Black Baron. The flight part was actually very easy. The second part required patience that I'm not exactly known to have in these sorts of boss fights, But I did get into a really good rhythm, and the Sly spin attack was doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and eventually I was lifting Mayday, Mayday for defeating the Black Baron and wrapping up the episode. Episode 4 is where the difficulty of this game ramps up. The jobs are getting harder and longer. They were at a good length before, but now they're just too long and very frustrating, and in my opinion this is the worst episode of the entire game. There's also no story trophies for a couple of hours despite taking down General Tsao in a two-parter, and multiple jobs involving all the cast so far. The second part of this episode sees Sly and Panda King team up to take out a coven of vampires, because why wouldn't there be a coven of vampires here? Not gonna lie, it was kinda cool to play as the Panda King and basically be a moving artillery unit, and it was nice to mix it up a bit. I take out this crypt to end the job, and the Vampire Exterminator trophy for doing so is mine. Shortly after that, I had the funds to get Sly Spin Attack 3, and the Whirlwind of Awesome trophy was in the bag. This one wraps up with another boss fight, this time a hub-wide one against a massive Chinese dragon. I have to say the hardest part was actually getting from the base of its tail to about halfway up the body. Everything after that was pretty easy. I actually found the General Tsao fights to be harder. Nonetheless, the Dragon Punch trophy for defeating the Chinese dragon was mine, and it was on to episode 5, Dead Men Tell No Tales. From the worst episode to, in my opinion, the best one. Before getting the episode underway properly, however, Diablo Fire Slam becomes available in the shop, which I purchase straight away to get the Pink Power Murray Fighter trophy. The upgrades are beginning to cost a lot more now, but there's also a lot more enemies to rob, and the loot is beginning to be worth a lot more as well. So this actually isn't going to be a problem as far as I can tell. What is a problem, however, is the grapple cam missions. I don't find them particularly fun, and Penelope often got stuck at corners or ramps. But I did persevere, and the Hug It Out trophy is mine for doing so. There's some Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag gameplay, and some treasure hunting. The Cooper Gang locate Dimitri's diving gear for the Benz trophy as well. Before heading into day 2 of this episode, I also grabbed the Sly Jump Attack 3 power-up from ThiefNet for Jump Kick Like a Plumber. After some more open seas battles, which are actually a lot more fun than I thought they were going to be, and they also net me a lot of coins, I used those coins to purchase the final trophy-related upgrade in the form of Shadow Power Level 2 for the Slight and Carmen Approved trophy. Then another boss fight, this time against 2 enemies, 1 a giant octopus, and 2 the constant horrendous frame rate drop. Despite these overwhelming odds and the occasional death, the Panda King and Sly get it done, and the Tentacle Terror trophy lands on my lap. The episode wraps up with a showdown against the Fwee. Despite the tentacles part being, in my opinion, a bit unintuitive, it didn't take me long to get used to the controls, and the dueling minigame was pretty easy once I, switched my brain on. With Lafouille done and dusted, so is the episode, and the Taking Out the Trash trophy joins the collection. Finally, it's time for the titular episode Honor Among Thieves. Each member of the expanded gang, minus Panda King for some reason, has their own part to play in this finale. Dimitri's boss battle actually took some getting used to, but once I had become more accustomed to the controls, I found it a lot easier than I thought I was going to. After that job, I got the Earn Your Stripes trophy for hitting the 50% mark. From there, I fought one of the hardest bosses of the game in the form of hook-to-hook jumping. Yes, I know, I'm 3 games in and I'm still struggling with it. Honestly, at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Enough of that, Dr. M needs to go down. Murray's part is a simple brawl with a ton of minions, with Bentley's part having some platforming in it, and the last grapple cam part of the game, thank God. Although, if I'm honest with myself, this one was actually the easiest one. Dr. M flees to take on Sly, and I get the True Friendship trophy as a result. Then it's time for the ultimate showdown of Ultimate Destiny. The thing about this fight is that Dr. M is fast, but luckily he doesn't deal that much damage to Sly, so there's a fair amount of forgiveness in this fight. I find that the jump attack actually takes a massive chunk out of my opponent's health for some reason. I'm not complaining though, and when Carmelita comes in to finish the job and save her man, I get the Everybody Needs a Foxy Lady trophy for defeating Dr. M as Sly and Carmelita, and the So Gang, What's Next trophy for completing the game. So what is next? Well, step 2, Master Thief challenges. These are snippets of the game that have been made more difficult that you can select from the episode select screen and test your Sly 3 skills. I need to complete all of these for the 100% trophy, so let's talk about them. I'm not going to bore you and describe all 42 of them in excruciating detail, so here's the 5 that I found the most challenging while knocking these out. Tower Scramble was really tight. I think some of you may be surprised that this one is on the list, but I'm not the fastest platformer in the world. Now I know there's an exploit with a certain power up that makes this a lot easier, but I didn't know about it at the time. So sad. When I did finally complete it, however, I did so with about half a second left to spare, so I'll take it. Pressure Brawl is an interesting one, simply because sometimes I felt that this was a bit of a crapshoot at times. The environmental hazards are a great way to eliminate enemies, but I was reliant on enemies actually, coming to me so that I could take them out there. How good the other 2 AI controlled allies are at taking the mobs out also matters. I found that the key to doing Sly's section really quick though is a fully charged jump attack. The resulting explosion definitely did the trick and knocked out a few more enemies in the process. There's a special place in hell though for these next 2, and they're back to back. Episode 4 continues its reputation for being the hardest and most tedious episode with big air in China. The first jump feels really hard until you realise there's a very convenient platform on the cliff to bounce off to reach it. The last jump, however, is, for lack of a better word, stupid, because you have to be precise in terms of where you start and finish the jump. And I do mean precise. Maybe not literally pixel perfect, but pretty close. I did get it eventually, but boy was it irritating. Speaking of irritating, let's talk about Sharpshooter. It's a dumb mission in the first place, and the 50% health penalty makes this one especially punishing. The worst part is that for some unknown reason, the mobs require 2 shots to kill and not 1, and who knows where they'll land after the first one. This took me a lot of tries because there's a bit of RNG and unpredictability, but I did eventually focus down, get into the groove, and got Murray and the van over the line. Something that I found helped me was actually taking my headphones off and doing it without sound so that I could concentrate. That actually made this a lot easier. Now, Ultimate Gauntlet is the one that many think of when talking about hardest Master Thief challenges. I would argue, however, that it's not difficult in terms of skill. No, the challenge is that it's just so long, and you only have 1 life, so if you really mess up, then you have to start all over again. The saving grace is that there are health pickups throughout the level that make this a lot more manageable. On top of that, the time limit should not be a problem for you if you've done the previous 40 challenges. It's incredibly generous. Of course, if you run into a bug where you can't activate the next part of the gauntlet, like I did, I'm sorry, I can't help you, my condolences. Eventually though, I did get the Obsessive Raccoon trophy for hitting the 75% mark, and after push attacking Dr. M to death in the Battle Against Time challenge in what I think is a fairly respectable time of 1:03, the 100% pure Cooper trophy for, well, getting 100%, and the Master Thief Platinum trophies are finally mine.